Coming to you from Vail, Colorado, North America's premier outdoor recreation destination, this is Fast Tracks. Each week, we check in with a past speaker for an update. And this week, we're checking in with Dr. Kate Newburgh. Welcome, Kate.
Hi, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much, Claire. What an honor to be back.
Thanks for joining us. So the last year has been crazy. It's been unprecedented. It's been tragic. There are a lot of adjectives to describe the past year. I'm wondering, what have you been doing for the last year? How would you describe your year?
The word that's coming up for me, and it's probably true for a lot of people out there, is the word transition. And I have been feeling more and more like, as I mentioned in my talk, I did my doctoral research on burnout and was looking at the systemic nature of burnout. And I've actually been living into a lot of the findings that I had around what it actually means to step into your soul purpose, to embrace the fact that that we're all here to do something unique and we're all here to do something that benefits the world. And so I've really been getting more and more clarity around what that is and really allowing myself to lean into it, which often brings up a lot of fear. I think when we are in times of transition, and many of us are, the stability that we're accustomed to starts to crack underneath us, which brings up a lot of fear. And so it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's actually, I'm finding it as an invitation to really look deeper into what those fears really are and in what ways they're still holding me back from living the fullest life that I can live that gives back in the best way possible.
Well, I'm glad you referenced your talk with us. So that was just over a year ago, January of 2020. It was a program we do in collaboration with the Vail Valley Partnership. And I have to say, a program on burnout, I really didn't know what to expect. And you went really deep. It was not a superficial tips and tricks kind of program. It was really deep. But I'm wondering, this year has really impacted organizations in really unusual and unprecedented ways. Has the past year impacted the way you think about burnout?
That's a good question. Yes, in fact. Yes, and it's been a deepening. Like you said, it's very difficult for me to do small talk. So if you're going to call me up on the phone, get ready. We probably won't talk about the weather unless it's related to some sort of shift in human consciousness. But what I've been finding is that actually related to this shift in human consciousness, both regarding burnout and regarding organizations, is that we are starting to come across and create entirely new models of how we organize ourselves. And when I had first started this a year ago, I was planning on having a case study of these organizations. But what I kept discovering was that there were still, all the organizations I had in mind were still rooted in old structures that are dissolving at this time. And there's what looks like a lot of chaos is, and a lot of fearfulness is in many ways kind of a relinquishing of structures that no longer serve humanity. And that's very apparent in our organizations. And what we're going to start to see now is a shift toward heart-based leadership, heart-based organizations that that really nurture the body and tend to the body and don't. There's been a mind-body separation in our culture for a long time, and what we're going to start to see are the organizations and the leaders that are really gaining momentum in this new era are the ones that take an interdimensional approach to all of it. And so my understanding around burnout has been deepening in the sense that when we follow our hearts, when we do this on an individual level, I had approached it originally from the organizational level, but I'm starting to see the deep and abiding impact we can have at the organizational level by advocating for our own heart's purpose. And many of us don't know what that is yet. We just have an inkling of what we like to do. And so what I like to say is really allow yourself to bring yourself, do the things that bring you joy and to advocate for the things that only you can do. So when I talk to people who are thinking about leaving a job or potentially reinventing their job description or what they want to do in life, I say, well, is what you're doing right now something, could you be replaced? And if the answer is yes, then I say, you need to think about what it is that only you can offer. And that's what the world needs from you.
That's really an optimistic take on this time of transition where people are feeling uncomfortable. That might be a euphemistic word for how we're feeling right now. Some of the other words you're hearing right now are getting back to normal or a new normal. And I'm just wondering where you're at. Are you at a new normal? Are you back to normal? What does the next few months or years hold for Kate Newburgh?
Oh my gosh, Claire, what a question. I'm laughing so hard because I normally am not at a loss for what to say, and I'm a little bit at a loss. So again, a time of deep transition. And I think what's coming up for me right now is that I don't want to go back. That I have spent so much dedication and energy and commitment to letting go of a lot of the things that didn't serve me, that the idea of going back to what was normal in the past is actually, not only, there have been irreversible changes in the way that I understand how to live a good life. And so where I am right now is some really practical things. I am still working on that book. The talk I gave became the first chapter of a book I wrote called Rebirthing Eden. And I have recently not only discovered, but been invited into an organization that is pioneering this new model. And I have committed myself to this organization, which is interesting because I am both immersed in the organization and I'm also acting kind of as like on two levels, one level fully immersed and one level a little bit outside of it as a researcher and a witness to see how it is developing and what it takes to hold integrity in this new model inside of a world that's still working with old structures of oftentimes control and domination and structures that aren't loving and full of what's the word I'm looking for? I think when I talked about burnout, it came from those structures that did not honor the individual and honor the individual's experience. And so we do have a lot of those old structures that are going away. What I see in the next few years is really a beautiful collaboration with other people and organizations that are interested in pioneering these new models. And one thing I'm going to say that, and I know we're going to keep this short, but I think this might be interesting to people. One thing about these new models that is very difficult for people to, that causes a lot of fear is the decoupling from work and money. And so something that's coming up is that we have always conflated our work with our paycheck. And that's something that's actually evolving out of the system right now. What we're going to see is that people are going to commit to these heart-based types of endeavors and in collaboration, which is happening. And we're going to shift into a gift economy. And so in a transactional economy, there's always a moment of debt where I owe you something. And in this new type of economy, it will be much more aligned with a heart-based approach, which is a gift or donation economy where everybody is always giving and everybody is always receiving. And there's never a transaction or a moment of debt. And that really establishes sovereignty over what we're doing. And it's a leap of faith because it requires people to face a fear of scarcity and a fear of lack, which is very prevalent in our society. And once we break through that, I think as a culture, we are going to see an enormous breakthrough in how we actually organize our economy, because it will be based on trust and generosity instead of fear and scarcity.
I'm so glad I talked to you first thing on Monday morning, because this is so helpful, so optimistic, and so uplifting. Kate, it's been great talking with you. I could talk to you all day, but we said we'd keep this short.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the generous gift of your time. I really appreciate it. For everybody who tuned into this, I hope you'll visit veilsymposium.org to find out more about our upcoming programs. And for more information on Dr. Kate Newburgh, visit deeppractices.com. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
This has
Thank you
been-
so much, Claire. How beautiful to
Thank
be
you.
here with you.
Thank you so much. This has been Fast Tracks.